Hello, Algebra 2 class. It's me, Mr. Werger. Sorry I am not in class today. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. Originally, we didn't have school scheduled for this day, so that's why I'm not here. It's a shorter class period, so we've got a shorter lesson today. We're going to skip the ACT review problems that we would normally do. So I'll go through the short lesson, and then you'll have some classwork to do that'll be due at the end of the period. So kind of a condensed version of one of our normal classes. Okay. So as a warm-up, we should all be able to solve an equation like this. So my sub can periodically hit pause here while we work on some of these examples. So go ahead and hit pause, and everyone work on that first example. Solve for x. 3x plus 2 is equal to 5. Okay, so hopefully you subtracted 2, divided by 3, so you got x equals 1. Okay. Basic problem. So this lesson is on inequalities. So instead of having an equal sign and having an equation, we're going to have one of these symbols. So let's review. The first one is what? So I'm not actually here, so I couldn't hear you. But maybe somebody said, did someone say less than? Less than. Okay, what if there's a less than sign with another little line underneath it? So that extra little line is the equal to, so this would be less than or equal to. And then if it's pointing this way, that would be greater than. Last one, greater than or equal to. Kind of moving off the screen here, but don't panic, I'm still here. See, there's my hand. Greater than or equal to. I'm back. Okay. Okay, so this next example we're going to do pretty much the exact same steps as we did in the previous example. Okay, the only difference is it's not an equation anymore. So instead of the equal sign, we have greater than or equal to. Okay, but the steps will still be the same. So we'll subtract 2 and divide by 3. So instead of x equals 1, we've got x is greater than or equal to 1. Okay? Okay, so let's hit pause again and go ahead and take a minute to work on that next example. Okay, so here we would add 4. 2x is less than 12. Divided by 2. X is less than 6. Okay, so we're cruising right along. No big deal. Everything's the same as it was for an equation. Until we get to a problem like this. And then there's a little extra to think about. Our first step would be the same, so I would subtract 4. Negative 2x is less than 5. Okay, so here's where it's a little different. So if we have an inequality Now we're gonna end up dividing by 2, right? Or sorry, -2. Divide by -2. Okay, so when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, that causes our inequality sign to switch directions. So instead of less than, it's going to become greater than. And we can leave -5/2 as a fraction. Okay, well, let's write that down. So when you multiply, so if I had like a fraction here, remember how we multiplied by the reciprocal? Okay, so if this was like a negative fraction and I was multiplying by the reciprocal, the same thing would happen. So when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, then the inequality sign changes direction. Multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, the inequality sign changes direction. Okay, so what do we got here? We got 2 more. Okay. So think back to when we were solving just regular equations. So remember, if there were like terms on the same side of the equation, we just want to combine like terms there. So 5x minus 8x is -3x. Subtract 7. Dividing by a negative number. So it's going to be x is less than -4. If you have any questions on that, we can hit pause and have a little class discussion to clarify anything. Otherwise, why don't you take a minute, hit pause, and try this last one. So now we've got x's on both sides of the equation. So, treat it like you would any equation as far as solving for x. And just keep track of your inequality sign and go from there. Okay, so we'll do this a couple of different ways. So let's say that you had moved the x's over to the left side. So let's say you started by subtracting 6x. So then you get -3x minus 8 is less than or equal to 2. Add 8. -3x is less than or equal to 10. Divide by -3. So then here we need to flip the sign, right? Divided by negative. So x is going to be greater than or equal to, and we can just leave that as a fraction. Okay, so maybe you did it that way. Or, starting over here, maybe you decided to move your x terms over to the right side. Maybe you started by subtracting 3x. So that'd be negative 8 still. Subtract 2. Divide by 3. Okay, so there's our negative 10/3, same thing as we had there. So here the inequality sign does not flip, so I'm dividing by positive 3. So did I get the same answer? Look at these two solutions, are those the same? And the answer is yes, they are. Here we have x is greater than or equal to negative 10/3. Now if I'm reading this from left to right, like you normally read, you'd say negative 10/3 is less than or equal to x. Or you could flip that around and say x is greater than or equal to negative 10/3 if you read it from right to left instead of left to right. Okay, but these are the same thing. So either way you write it is fine. Okay, but I hope you recognize that those are the same. Now if you had forgotten to flip your sign, and this was x is less than 10/3, negative 10/3, then obviously that would be different. But these are both equivalent answers. Okay. Okay, so my substitute is going to now pass out the classwork, and that is due by the end of the period. It's shorter than our normal classwork. It's only, how many problems is it? 10, I think, instead of 18. So please go to work on that immediately. And when you get done, then that would be time to look at your phone or so on and so forth, but get that classwork done first. That's priority number 1. Hope you have a nice weekend, and I will see you next Monday.